Welcome to what is going to eventually be the place where I record my videos for Blastbox. Finally have this nice little recording space, something I've never really had before. I've always been like a bedroom recorder. But, I'm setting up camera positioning, lighting, where I'm going to sit, all that stuff. Gotta test to see if it looks good. What better way to do that than to make a quick video on here talking about something that I wanted to do, but I need to kind of pump it out because it's getting a little late to do it. And that is, I wanted to make a bingo card for video games in 2026. However, ran into a bit of a problem with that. Already. One of the lights that's lighting me is like right under the phone. So if I want to make eye contact with you, which I do because you're looking very nice today, being like blinded the whole time. We'll work on that later. It's bingo time. Problem I had with bingo is that it started to get a little dark. I am optimistic on the whole about gaming as a medium, like long term. In the short term, I do think there are some problems we have to work out, but not only am I not a pessimistic person by nature, I also don't want to put pessimism out into the internet if I can avoid it. So here's what I did. Instead of one big bingo card, I made two little bingo cards, one of good things that might happen and one of bad things that might happen. And at the end of the year, optimally, we're gonna hope we can get bingo on the good bingo card, not get bingo on the bad bingo card. Okay, we're gonna start with the bad bingo so we can sort of start in a darker place and then pick ourselves back up into a fun, optimistic place by the end. But I do want to say that for what I didn't want to give myself free spaces because these are smaller bingos, so it's already easier. But I did take the most likely thing to happen on both bingo sheets, and that's what I made in the free space spot. So it's kind of a free space unless something truly unexpected goes down. So let's go over those first just to get them out of the way. On the good bingo, my center space is Jeff Keighley hosts the Big Three. If you don't know, that's SGF Gamescom, the Game Awards. Those of you who are more intimately familiar with me may already know I'm a pretty big fan of the Game Awards. I'm also a pretty big fan of Jeff Keighley. I don't know, something about Jeff Keighley, I'm always happy to see him. And I always think to myself, like, eventually he is gonna pass the hosting torch at some point, right? So it's a small thing, it's a simple thing, it's probably gonna happen, but every year that I can get Jeff hosting those Big Three events, it's a good year for me. And now for one of probably two significant tonal shifts in this video. Over on my bad bingo card, I have GTA 6 gets big fear-mongering. One of the reasons I was particularly motivated to include this spot is because I do think it's almost inevitable there will be a lot of fear-mongering from traditional media sources around the release of GTA 6. But as I'm sitting here right now and thinking about that, my gut instinct is like, okay, let's not go too deep, let's not call out names, let's not say specifics, because we don't want to get too political on this channel, even though you all know problem number one, I hit the shelf when I get excited. No, that was problem number two, actually. Fix the light position, watch out for banging the shelf, and don't make people scared of GTA 6. If you're watching this video, odds are you know who will attempt to make the public scared of GTA 6, and you probably know at least some of their motivations for why it is advantageous of them to do that. And right now, I feel like it would be a little, too heavy for this channel to dive into it. What I'm wondering is if by the end of the year when I'm reviewing how these bingo sheets did, if it'll be such a common topic in our discourse that I'll be like, yeah, I can say it, everyone is saying it, it's what everyone's talking about. Why did I ever feel like it would be weird for me to bring it up now? Okay, now we're gonna go through the rest of the bad 2026 bingo sheet. Hopefully we get as few of these as possible. Starting with Game of the Year nominee has AI assets in the final product. We got close in 2025. Expedition 33 had AI assets in it that they patched out before it got nominated for Game of the Year. You had Arc Raiders, which almost certainly has AI assets in-game, but it wasn't nominated for Game of the Year, even though it was nominated for other things. So the prediction this year is that a Game of the Year nominee will have AI assets confirmed in the game after it's been nominated, not patched out. What I'm more interested in is that after the last Game Awards, which was the first time we were really dealing with AI in nominees, public perception of AI in game development took a baby step towards acceptance. For the longest time, it seemed so clear to me, at least in online gaming circles, if you used AI in game development, you were a bad guy, we wanted to boycott your game. Period. Very black and white. After this Game Awards, I feel a tiptoe. I feel people saying, well, if you use it for brainstorming, if you use it for like temp assets or concept art, just nothing in the final game, then AI in game development is okay. And what worries me is not that that perspective is wrong. What worries me is that I don't believe that perspective came from society having like an intellectual dialogue with itself and reaching a new conclusion. I think people have started to tiptoe towards being okay with AI in game development because they played games they liked that used AI. And I can just see those tiptoes keep going in the years ahead where we start to be like, well, they just used AI for like some grass textures. That's not really part of the art. They just used it for some footstep sound effects. They just used it to tune up some background NPC dialogue. It's not a big deal. And the fact that I feel like that discourse is controlled by whether or not we play games we like that use AI makes me sad. Nintendo Switch 2 has no games similar to PS5. As far as I know, there are no confirmed first-party Switch 2 exclusives that are massive deals next year. Could be missing something. Hopefully we don't reach a point by the end of 2026 where you can look up a list of Switch 2 big exclusive games and have it seem comparable to where the PS5 was at its second year of release. But if that happens, I get a bingo space. I go a full month without finishing a single video game, personal one. Last year, I had big goals around playing and finishing a lot of video games. This year, my goals are different, including making YouTube videos again. That's a huge goal of mine. Playing video games takes time away from that. Obviously, I don't want this to happen. I would love to have all the time in the world to keep playing all the games I want to play, but there is a chance that games get sacrificed a little bit for other pursuits like making content. I strongly believe that if you pursue games in a professional capacity in any way, whether that's video game content creation or working professionally on video games, you really need to keep up and continue to play video games consistently. You would be shocked how many people don't do that. But I have also been prioritizing playing a lot of games for over a decade of my life now, like seriously playing games for educational purposes. I do think I've reached a point where I still need to play games, but now furthering my understanding of the medium, especially in a professional context, is going to require me to focus in on other skills. Oh, this is a fun one. Important person uses the phrase Dark Age of the Law. This is a reference, if you don't know, to the game Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. That game is estimated to take place in the year 2026. And a big thing in that game is that is when the Ace Attorney franchise enters what they call the Dark Age of the Law. Basically when their legal system becomes rampant with corruption and public trust in the legal system takes a steep decline. And we've already got the corruption and lack of public trust in the legal system down. I didn't even need to make that a bingo spot. We already have that. All I need now is for some judge or politician or billionaire to use the exact quote, Dark Age of the Law, and Apollo Justice will be real. Then we have essentially my free space. Then we have gaming content creator goes into politics. This is not a gaming content creator talks about politics. This is like gaming YouTuber runs for mayor. I should have checked if this has already happened before. It honestly could have. But if it hasn't happened yet, it just feels so inevitable to me that someone would try to use their influence as a gaming content creator to enter public office. Dark Ties makes me like Mine or Daigo less. I wanted to have a space about a game I was looking forward to this year, but I don't actually have a large amount of games I'm looking forward to this year. I've always got Star Wars games coming out that I'm excited for, but besides that, the two biggest ones are kind of big remakes. It's Yakuza Kiwami 3 plus Dark Ties, and Danganronpa 2 plus 2. Both of those games have characters I absolutely love, but I have to admit that Danganronpa kind of requires characters to do despicable things, so I wouldn't be happy if I end up liking some characters less after playing that game, but I understand it's necessary for the story. I guess just know that if Mahiru does something despicable, I will not be okay for a significant period of time. But then you got what is shaping up to be one of the greatest video game remakes of all time, if it delivers on what it's promising, which is Yakuza Kiwami 3 plus Dark Ties. Kiwami 3 remake of Yakuza 3 has so much exciting stuff to talk about, but we're focusing in on Dark Ties, which is a whole new game that is telling a side story about the character Yoshitaka Mine, another one of my all-time favorite game characters. I need a Nintendo metaphor to convey to you how amazing it is to be getting a Mine game. Mine getting his own game is like if they actually added the Mario RPG character to Mario Kart. Just a crazy specific level of hardcore fan service you never expect them to actually do. And it looks like we're also going to get to spend a lot of time with Daigo Dojima, who's another one of my favorite game characters. This is one of the best moments in the Yakuza timeline to be spending time with him. Dark Ties is the 2026 game I'm most looking forward to. Also because it's the game that I've been anticipating that has gotten the most marketing so far. So if I walk away from that game not liking what they do with Mine and Daigo, and I like the characters a little less, that will be one of my biggest bummers of the year. All right, problem number 3 with this setup. You can probably hear how rickety and crickety this stool I'm sitting on is. Might be investing in a new stool. We'll see. Ah, man, this one really makes me sad. Mina the Hollower flops. Mina the Hollower, if you don't know, is the new game by Yacht Club Games, who made Shovel Knight. Yacht Club Games is too good for this world. We don't deserve them. I won't give you the full history on Yacht Club Games and the decisions they've made, but they have made a ton of aggressively pro-player decisions. They've made, I'm going to say, exclusively great games. I can't think of one that hasn't really hit for people. But a lot of their decisions have not correlated with huge financial success. It seems like they might be on hard times, and they might really need Mina the Hollower to hit. Which is challenging because Mina the Hollower looks really good, but it's not really the kind of game that has like built-in success baked into it. Being inspired by the Game Boy Color is much less universally appealing than being inspired by the NES. It's not even the same genre as Shovel Knight. There's really no reason a Shovel Knight fan is going to jump in and play Mina the Hollower unless they're just dedicated to the studio of Yacht Club itself, which is the reason I'm going to play it, to be honest. I don't want Yacht Club to go under. I want Mina to be successful. If Mina's not successful, Shovel of Hope DX, maybe that can do it. All right, we've made it through. This is the last one on the bad bingo. Sonic says a swear word. I mean, couldn't you imagine? Like, he could, like, he would. Like, he's kind of like, he's on top now. Sonic is riding higher than he's ridden since the 90s. You'd think, like, he could let the fame and success get to him a little bit and get to that point that a lot of celebrities get to where they're like, yeah, I can get away with it. Who's going to stop me? You can't take me down now. And he just lets out a PG-13 swear word, accidentally, causes a little ruffle, whether it be, you know, movie, game, comic, anything. And we're all just like, whoa, Sonic! Kids watch you. If any platformer mascot's gonna say a swear word, it's gonna be Sonic the Hedgehog. Let me know if you disagree. Oh, and with that, thank you for bearing with me on that. Some of that is at least interesting to talk about. But now we're gonna go have some fun with the good bingo sheet. These are things we want to happen in 2026, for the most part. Hopefully we can get a bingo on this one. We're starting with Smash roster character gets a dramatic redesign. It's always nice when this happens. Donkey Kong and Samus had big design refreshes last year. Hot Ryu was a big hit with people. 2026, someone on the Smash roster looks completely different. That'd be exciting to me. I'm gonna go with Solid Snake or Wolf O'Donnell. That's my bet, but if it happens to any Smash character, I get the bingo spot. New science discovery named for a video game thing. This happens a lot. Scientists are nerdy people. They'll discover something new. They'll name it after something nerdy they love. Any scientific discovery that gets named after a video game thing, cool in my book. Looking forward to seeing it. Hope that happens. Monolith Soft. I just wrote the word Monolith Soft. They just show up in any capacity. Doesn't even have to be a new game. DLC, particularly cool patch, even some significant content drop. Did you know Shulk doesn't have an action figure? Shulk action figure! That would be worth the bingo spot. Xenosaga remasters. Xenoblade on vinyl. Xenoblade on the Nintendo Music app. I will legitimately mark this space off if we get Xenoblade on the Nintendo Music app. Where is it? Oh, out of all my bingo spaces, this, I'm gonna say, is the least likely to happen of any space across either of my bingos. Amiibo that does something cool. New or old, doesn't matter, just any amiibo getting functionality that's genuinely exciting. What was the last genuinely exciting amiibo? I mean, the king that will probably never be topped is Mario Maker 1, right? But, like, Breath of the Wild giving you game-specific gear for amiibo, I'm pretty sure it did that. That's cool. And I actually don't know if Tears of the Kingdom does that as well. But besides that, granted, I'm not the biggest amiibo fan. If you're an amiibo fan, hit me up in the comments with what you think the best amiibo implementation has been over the last few years. But I can say anytime I've bought an amiibo in, I don't know, 8 years, It's just been because I thought it would be cool to have the character. Then we got the free space with Jeff Keighley, Don't Let Me Down, KH4, FF17, DQ12, and 3. If you don't know, that's Kingdom Hearts 4, Final Fantasy 17, Dragon Quest 12, or Nier 3. Basically, big, huge, exciting Square Enix game revealed, and yes, I count seeing Kingdom Hearts 4 again as a big game reveal. I guess technically Dragon Quest 12 has also been revealed, but seeing any of those games counts. And part of the reason I have this is because I was so sure we were going to get a big Square Enix reveal at the Game Awards, and we didn't. I really feel like they're due for it, and I feel like we're reaching a point. Square Enix games used to be some of the biggest deals. A new Final Fantasy in particular, a new Kingdom Hearts, Nier Automata was massive. A new Square game used to be one of the biggest events of the year, and now it just kind of feels like a big-ish event of the year. I want something huge from Square to get excited about. They need some heavy hitter coming up that's not Final Fantasy VII Part 3. And any of those four will achieve that goal. A new word for games that are between indie and AAA production levels. So, similar to AI, this is something else that's been in the discourse, but really ramped up after the Game Awards. This idea of what counts as an indie game. And the thing is, I'm not looking for hard definitions here because we don't have hard definitions for AAA and indie. Usually it's pretty obvious which bucket you would fall into, but sometimes it's not, as we saw this year. And you might be saying to yourself, we have a word for that, it's AA. And you're right, so why don't we use it? I've been thinking about why people seem so reluctant to adopt AA further, and I have two theories for why people aren't adopting AA as strongly. Number one is that I think it's a really abstract term that it's hard for people to wrap their head around what it means. AAA and indie are easy because essentially AAA means biggest game and indie means littlest game. We understand that AA is under AAA but above indie, but like where on the spectrum? The fact that it's called AA, that makes it sound more like AAA, so it feels like AA might be on the closer side to AAA, which is actually the second theory I have for why people don't like adopting it. I think people are hesitant to call, especially games they like, AA, because it feels like you're taking something away from that game. It's no secret right now that a lot of the sentiment among core and hardcore gamers is trending away from the AAA space. There's a lot of criticisms of AAA games right now, there's a lot of problems with AAA games right now, and it's just cool to be against AAA games right now. That's just the socially acceptable way to be. And conversely, it's cooler and socially acceptable to support the little guy, the indie games. And if you assign a game AA, that can kind of feel like you're pulling it away from that cool, hip indie label. Like if you call it AA, you're acknowledging that, they kind of had more money and staff and production than normally goes with indie. And what that can be implying is that their victory wasn't this grand underdog story. Then maybe they did have some help that helped them get to where they are. I wanted to have a proposal for a word we could use for this video, like mid-range title or something. I don't really have one. That's the kind of thinking we do for Blastbox videos. If you have ideas, I'd love to hear them, but I think the word is sorely needed. We need a word for Expedition 33 and Hades 2. I was trying to not name names, but kind of like the GTA 6 fear-mongering, you know what I'm thinking of. Less game layoffs in 2026 than 2025. This is another one that, like, I feel like the last one spun into something negative, even though this is supposed to be the positive bingo. And this is similar. So, good news, I believe, I'll fact check this, I believe 2025 had less layoffs than 2024 in the game industry. And if that trend can continue, that would be great. Although, just so it's out there, reducing layoffs is only a good thing. We all want it to happen. There is no downside. We should be reducing layoffs. But we need an added component that gets talked about less, which is we also need more people getting hired into new positions. If you notice a lot of headlines that are saying something like, ex-developer from this studio starting their own game company. Part of the reason that's happening is because it's a great market to do that, again, because people are championing smaller game development, but also because there is a lot of recently laid off talent with a lot of experience ready and eager to be picked up for new work, which that part is fine. But what that means is that you have this growing pool of people who should be getting their start in the game industry who aren't able to get their start because we have this other large pool of experienced professionals who have been laid off, and jobs are always going to be given to experienced professionals when they can be, versus taking a risk on someone new. So we do need to stop layoffs. But to make up for the layoffs we already have, we also need to work on job creation, especially for entry-level individuals. But I don't think you would see a lot of headlines about job creation on mainstream video game news outlets. So if we get less layoffs, that's enough for the bingo space. The last one isn't necessarily like good, but it's a fun thing happening this year that I wanted to make a bet on, and that is that the Street Fighter movie will beat Mortal Kombat 2 at the domestic box office. I think it could very well beat it at the international box office as well. I also think Mortal Kombat could just as well beat it too. I'm making that prediction because while Mortal Kombat is a vastly more popular IP in America, Mortal Kombat 2 is a sequel to a movie that I'm not sure a ton of people watched or remember. I think Street Fighter also has more goodwill right now in general, both in the United States and internationally. And I think people were pleasantly surprised by that first teaser for the Street Fighter movie and how silly and fun and high energy it looked. I'm looking forward to both movies so much. I will definitely be there for both. But as of right now, I'm going to put my bet on Street Fighter. We'll see how silly I look at the end of the year. And that was my unexpectedly depressing bingo. We will hopefully be able to check back at the end of the year to see how I did on this bingo. I hope you enjoy your 2026. There's definitely a lot of great stuff to be playing out there, and I hope to be a more consistent part of your YouTube feed this year. Take care, everyone. And I hope this footage looked good.